Hey guys, we're just going to take a second in the beginning of this video and appreciate the magnitude of Hurricane Helen. We were actually, you can't tell now, we've had a week of cleanup here, but we had some issues here ourselves. It's pretty bad up there for those guys, so if you can find a GoFundMe page or donate and help in any way you can. Unfortunately, I don't have any information about that because I myself just got power back yesterday. So just keep all those people in your thoughts and prayers and, help out if you can. What is that? Look at that. I know you're thinking it's another Fox Body Mustang. There's a million of them, but not so. So this is a 1992 Wild Strawberry GT. And you're saying, well, it doesn't look like a GT. Well, you can see somebody's taken all the GT parts off of it. And you might be thinking, well, how do you know it's a GT? Being rare, this car was only one of 907 built. You can see here real quick that this thing is in beautiful shape. There is zero frame rail rust, zero floor pan rust. I'm not sure I've seen one this nice. Somebody tried grinding off the paint and stuff in here. I think they were trying to paint it, trying to make it a race car, but they didn't do a very good job. I snagged it from some young kids, well on its way to being a race car, and I think that's where all these cars went, because 25 years ago you go to a car show and there'd be 30 of these. Now you're lucky if there's even one, and you rarely see one out in the wild actually being driven. Once I saw how nice this was, I grabbed it. Somebody has welded the holes shut right here where the bracket goes that holds the GT ground effect on, that goes under the door. I'll throw some photos in the video here of what they look like if you're not familiar. Somebody's painted the moldings, which they usually need replaced anyway. But the big telltale is this hatch. The easiest way to tell if you've got a GT instead of an LX, and if you're sure the hatch has never been replaced, which it's really hard to tell these days, but in this instance, if you look here, you can see the color. Now, I guess this could have been all painted at one time, but they would have had to taken the entire car apart. That is all, never mind my square body storage parts, but this car is entirely Wild Strawberry everywhere. But the big telltale is right here on the hatch. This hatch does not stay up by itself, so it's going to be a little challenging to do. But see right here, you have no hole here, no hole here. There's no holes right here and here. And then when you look at the top, there's only the 3 holes on the end with the floating taillight power lights, meaning that this was open as a GT, and I'll insert a photo so you can see the difference. Now, if you walk right over here, past the even earlier car, the new Whip, a couple other muscle cars, we got a 90, no, I'm sorry, this is an 89, 89 LX hatchback. And here's the LX wing. You can see it goes all the way down, and there's no hole there. But the big telltale is right here. See these big holes that I was talking about? There's one here. Somebody's taped over that one because this one is disintegrating. But that's how you can tell if you got an LX hatch versus a GT hatch. And the wiring goes in the same place. Comes out the same place to power the third brake light, which was required. But on a GT, this is much thinner and it's floating. The GT looks pretty cool in my opinion from the back. They're not a whole lot of difference from the side profile. The GT spoiler is a little taller and flatter through here. I don't even have one to show you. That's how, I wouldn't say rare, but we've always bought LX hatchbacks, so I've never even had a GT. So It's a shame that all the GT stuff is missing off this car because it's gotten quite expensive. You're looking at $1,600 plus shipping just to get the nose cone, the tail panel, all the filler panels, because unlike the LX that only has a filler panel right here, which actually I shouldn't have walked away from this car. This car is missing the filler panel, so that'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about. Right there, there's a filler panel. It goes right here. This is an LX. Well, on a GT, this is all one piece from here all the way down to the GT ground effects. Takes the same headlights, takes the same taillights. The GT also has a bracket that picks up these 3 holes, whereas the LX is glued on. But the GT, that ground effect is so heavy that they've got metal brackets that rivet on to support the weight. And it comes all the way out and it says Mustang GT in it. Like I said, over there, it rivets on here. Same with this tail panel. So this bolts on. This is the LX. I'm yelling over semis. Sorry about that. The GT, this is all one piece that goes all the way down low and molds into the rear bumper cover, and a GT won't have these straight through tails. They actually turn down at the end because the GT has much more ground effects to make it look, you know, a lot lower to the ground, and you know, they're pretty good looking in my opinion. So all the GTs had the silver titanium ground effects up until 1992, where they actually became body color. If you go to stangnet.com, you can get all the breakdown of all the colors and GT and hatchback, and they don't talk about the 4-cylinder cars, which we walk inside here. We have one of the smoke frost, whatever that bluey gray color this one was originally. This is Rusty's, so you can see those filler panels right there that I'm talking about that kind of mold the bumper. The GT is totally different. But another beautiful rust-free car here. So that's basically, I just wanted to give you a little overview of how you can tell if you've got a GT or not. It's not so common now. These cars are getting old. You know, in my mind, they're still new, and you know, they're not that valuable, but try to go buy one. They've gotten extremely valuable. They're extremely rare now to find one that's not a race car, that's not all cut up. We were lucky enough to have 2. That black one you saw is horrible. I'll be doing a full video on how terrible that car is once I get the exhaust manifold for this one and get this one off the lift. We'll bring the black one in and you'll see, whoo, that thing is rugged. So that's how most of them are, unfortunately. And unfortunately, we got it cheap. It has some really cool parts on it that we're going to use. It's got drop springs and caster camber plates and Cobra wheels and smoke headlights and taillights, and it's got a tilt non-airbag column, which is really hard to come by, and it's a 5-speed car. That is not a 5-speed car, and the maroon one is not a 5-speed car. I have one more Mustang to show you if you got a second. I got parts cooking in the paint booth, so we'll have to go around the building. Ooh, so never minding my OBS and square body parts bin out here, I bought this 98 GT. These are not desirable at all, but this is a rust-free Georgia car. It's a red GT, gray leather, 5-speed car. I got it no motor, no transmission. Everything else is here. But I mainly bought this car for the tree fell on it last year. Put a big dent in it, took the dang mirror off. Always a problem around here. Hey, it's a storage area for a bunch of junk. But I bought this car for the 4-wheel disc brake 5-lug setup that's on it with Hydro Boost. Everything is there for that system. So if we wanted to go that route, I have the hard parts, the clips, the hoses, you know, the actual calipers that can be rebuilt. We'll replace the rotors, but you do have to keep in mind that that disc brake rear end lengthens your wheel width by 3/4 of an inch per side. So you can only really get away with an 8-inch Cobra wheel out back versus the 9-inch. But I did put the Hydro Boost in my green coupe and it works really well. So, spider. But I basically bought this car for the 5-speed pedals because I paid for the car what pedals go for, about 500 bucks. And I'm willing to give this car away. If you know anybody who wants one, if they show up, you could pull it out of here. You can have it. Red 98 GT, like, it's actually in really good shape. It's never been wrecked. It's got a K&N cold air kit and a pillar pod gauge thing that's only good for these cars in the trunk. But someday this will probably be worth something, but I do not want it. So there's my little spiel. I really wanted to show you how to tell a GT, because there's not a whole lot of information out there on how to tell, and there's no special numbers or markings that I know of. So hope you learned something. Make sure to subscribe, like the channel, follow along. We're going to be building this car. Rusty's going to get his driver's license next year, so the blue car will hit the road. We're not done with that paint job. We're going to do some custom there. And then this one here, we're going to clean this up, strip it down, subframe connectors, probably a 4-point roll cage, and then everything out of that pile of black horrible piece of shit over there will go into this car to make a really nice 505 speed hatchback driver. Not sure if we're going to keep it a GT, not sure if we're going to keep it Wild Strawberry. You'll have to follow along for all that. But thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.